won?
Well, here, I'm Tom Ryan. I'm in Loveland, Colorado. And Christina Brown Brazel is in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. And we're going to talk about her early childhood. And I'll ask the questions and she'll give the answers, hopefully. Now, she's was born in 1978, and Marilyn and I retired in 1978. So this was, we were free, and she was, her mother was working and she needed somebody to take care of her. And we had a wonderful time. Well, this is great. There she is. And that's her father. Yeah, holding her. And Ryan didn't get born until 3 years later. So she was, for 3 years anyway, she was the only child. And welcome to a first grandchild. And we, she's still the first oldest grandchild. Okay, great. So we took you a lot of places. And I remember some of them, but we just loved to travel. And we traveled all over the United States, and we traveled into Chicago and to the zoo. And I remember we took you to this Brookfield Zoo. And I think you were about 3 years old, about as old as you are here on the merry-go-round. And you looked up at the water tank way up on the top of the zoo, a big green water tank. And on it, it said Brookfield Zoo. And you spelled it Z-O-O, zoo. And we were so amazed. You're only 3 years old and you knew your letters and how to read. So that's the sort of thing we did. And what other places did we go with you? Can you hear me? Oh.
There we go. Sorry,
Oh,
I was on mute. Yes, I remember the Brookfield Zoo, and I remember the Christmas lights and the ice sculptures. And that was super amazing to me to be able to walk around the zoo at night and see Christmas lights and to see the zoo. Of course, the animals probably were mostly sleeping, but it was very amazing to me to see the Christmas lights and the ice sculptures that were there. I think another good place to talk about would be, we went to Washington, D.C. This was later. You had taken us to Washington, D.C. and I don't remember if we went there in the RV or if we went there in the, by plane, but I remember seeing Washington, D.C. with you. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember. And I'd been there many times. Something's interfering with us.
No, it's all right. I have to plug the battery in.
Oh, it ran out of juice. The battery. We may have to do this over again.
It's
huh?
okay. It's all right.
It's not
Plug it
working.
It's working.
There. Okay. Our
Okay.
computer ran out of juice and needed electricity.
Okay.
There we are. All fixed.
All right.
Yes. So we had a camper. Here was the camper, and this was a really nice one. And we could sleep up there in the top and take you kids on trips close to home. And so that was a fun thing that we used. I think we had that even before we were retired. And then we traded it in on a motor home that Marilyn and I went all over the United States. By then we got back from that trip, about a year or two trip, and you were old enough to really travel. From 3 years on, you were as much of a traveler as we were. We went to Disney World But by then you were like 8 years old and you could swim. And I remember going into the swimming pool at the fancy hotel we went to, and you could swim all the way across the pool. And then we went to the Disneyland. You remember that?
I do. Can you see the pictures that I have up?
Yes, there you go. We were doing all kinds of all the rides at Disneyland. You paid money and you could go on as many rides as you wanted. And we would just run from one ride to the other. And you, oh yeah, they wouldn't let you in because you weren't tall enough. You had to go under a bamboo thing that was across and the man stood there and he said, "You're not tall enough. But if I went with you, then you could go." So I had to go with you on all these wild rides, and you wanted to go and I can remember you digging your fingernails into my thighs as we went down on the roller coaster.
Yes, there was a roller coaster in Epcot Center inside of the big giant golf ball looking thing. And inside there was a big roller coaster. And yes, you went with me on that ride. And I remember that was the biggest thing I remember. I know I was scared on it, but when we got off of the ride, you were wearing khaki pants. And back then they did not have anti-wrinkle khaki pants. They had wrinkle khaki pants. So I had clung on to your pants, like the middle of your thigh. I had just grabbed onto your pants and held on so tight until the ride was over. And when we got off, I remember thinking, oh, I wrinkled Grandpa's pants. And it was the just one side, the side that you were sitting next to me on, that I had wrinkled up your pants all the way.
And then at night, they'd close down the rides and they'd have entertainment. Mickey Mouse and a band was playing, and they'd have fireworks would go off. And we said, "Gee, Chrissy, it's late. You're just a little kid. We should put you to bed. You should go to bed." And oh, no. You wanted to stay.
Yeah, no, we got to see the light parade. We have to see that at night. Here's a good picture of us in front of it. This is Buckingham Fountain, right? In Chicago?
Yes, that's in Chicago, right? Well, there you are. Yes. Now we went into Chicago a lot to the museums and parks, and this was Buckingham Fountain is right in the heart of downtown Chicago, right on the lake. Yep,
And
there
then
you are.
Married with Children is a show, Married with Children with Al Bundy and Peggy Bundy. And this is part of the intro for their show, the Married with Children show. And,
Oh, yeah?
and part of it is this fountain lighting up. So yes, that's exciting.
That was great. Yeah, I remember when Obama won the election, he came down here and there was a big gathering, like 30,000 people to celebrate. And he was here at Buckingham Fountain, and the Pope came to Chicago, and not this Pope, but the past one. And they had about 1 million people, Catholics in downtown, right around Buckingham. It was kind of the center of a huge park, waterfront park.
And eventually
Yeah,
later on, I went to
Santa's
go work.
Village. Oh, yeah.
Eventually I went to go work near that fountain, and I worked in the Loop for a little while in Chicago, at the University of Chicago. But this picture that we're showing is Santa's Village, which I believe burned down a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly. But this
Yeah.
is Santa's Village, and this is another trip that we went to go take, and that was a local Santa's Village kind of thing. A lot of people have local Christmassy kind of amusement parks, but this was ours. This was Santa's Village, and I remember going there a couple of times.
And they had a little railroad train that ran around and so on, and we could.
So this is me with Aunt Ginger on the railroad train.
Yes, right. That's up near Meadowdale, up north of Elgin. And we'd go up there. It wasn't very far. We didn't, when we had you, we'd bring you home mostly at night and take you in the daytime. So we'd just go to Chicago or up to a park, and this was one of them, Santa's Village, right? There you are at Santa's Village. And you're about, like 3 years old. So this is great.
Well, I
You
have
were
to say,
always
thank you
wanted
so
to
much
go.
for taking all the pictures that you took during our childhood, because I would not have any of these if you guys had not taken the time to do the old Kodak version of taking pictures.
Yes, yes. We had a lot of fun. I think we had as much fun as you did, and everything was so new and exciting to you, and willing to try everything, and come home and tell about it, what you did with your mother. That was great.
Yep.
So there you are. That's
Is that
you.
me or is that Kelly?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if
that's-
that's me or if that's Kelly there.
No, I think it's Marie. Yeah. Yeah. You say she's getting a little heavy there, but having 2 babies in 3 years, that she put some weight on. Marie was never much for eating, but yeah. Now the camper that we had, we could go, well, on the weekends we'd go out and. But now we're retired. We didn't have to wait for a weekend, and we could go out and stay in the camper. And it could be hooked up to electricity and to sewer, and so it was pretty fancy camping. And we enjoyed that. I think that's Ryan is there with you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he finally joined you. Well, he's 3 years younger, and he's about 3, so you must be about 6, about there. Oh, this is fun. Reminiscing. Yes, about the places we went, and did we go?
We did. So another one was Disney. We went to Disneyland, Disney World in Florida. And we went and visited great grandpa Glenn and his wife.
Right. And we went all the way down to, now that's Maryland. And grandpa's on one side and grandma on the other. The Ryan grandparents, and they lived in Florida. So we visited them and we went to Disney World all in one visit.
Yes.
So that was great. And see, now there you're what, 8 years old or something like that. And you could swim all the way across the pool and go on all the wild rides at Disney World.
And Ryan didn't go on this trip with us because he was a little bit too young. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, we didn't think that he could handle it, and he couldn't have. You were braver than most kids would be. Wanted to go on all the wild rides, and so I was the one that was I had to go with you, whether I wanted to or not. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yes, great. So my father and Ruth was my father's second wife. Grandma Ruth, they called her.
That's Ruth.
Yeah.
And Marilyn.
Yeah, they and Marilyn, of course. Then they moved to Florida after their marriage, and lived there the rest of her life. She died in Florida. And then we brought my dad back to Schaumburg, Illinois, where he died at 93. But he's only about 80 here. He's more or less my age. I'm 90 now. And I think they were close to 90. He was 93 when he died. All right, let's watch. What did Chrissy do?
So yes, no, we took many other trips. There's another one that's got Aunt Phyllis and you and Ryan, in the background there. I think that was on Dumbarton Oaks.
Yeah, my sister Phyllis and I. So I don't think she went to Florida, so this isn't the Florida.
No, she didn't go to Florida. Sorry, we're just
No.
kind of tripping through. This is also on Dumbarton Oaks. And this is with the
What?
big field in the background.
Oh,
you have-
yes.
Yeah, the yard in the
Behind
back,
me.
and I remember very well the field in the back. Not sure if that was that a farmed field or what was that in the back of Dumbarton Oaks?
Well, it was it was a hilly area, not easy to build upon. And so the guy that owned it, he was always going to sell it. It was for sale, but nobody wanted to buy it. I had a garden back there, a vegetable garden, and you kids would come and help me harvest the vegetables and bring them in. It was just out of the picture on the right. But also that grass was part of our homeowners association grounds, and it was mowed every week. And Ginger was on the grounds crew when she was going to college. She got a job with the landscaper, and they could
Yes.
ride, go around on the. She
I
pulled
remember
weeds
that.
and yes.
This is also, I believe, Dumbarton Oaks, maybe in the front.
Yeah. Why, now you're really growing up. See, how old you must have been. Well, we moved to Colorado about when you were 10 years old. So you was probably about 10 years old there.
This is not Colorado. This is, I believe, Dumbarton Oaks. You moved to Colorado when I was about 14 years old because I came and joined you in Colorado.
Right.
Right after you guys moved.
Right. We weren't there very long, and you called on the phone and said, "Can I come and live with you?" Sure, sure. And away you came. So you think you're 14 here? I think no.
Oh, no, this is younger. This is Dumbarton Oaks, I believe.
Yeah,
This
right.
is-
In
yeah.
Elgin.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very
So we were
nice.
talking about the younger trips. Is kind of what we were looking at. So Santa's Village and that kind of stuff. Disney. I remember that, and I remember going on a lot of trips to local places. So here's me and Ryan. Pretty young. This is definitely back when you lived in Dumbarton Oaks, and we probably were somewhere local. I remember going to the Tommy Bartlett Water Show. Do you
Yes, I
remember
think
going?
that was up at the Wisconsin Dells, as I remember. And
Yes.
that was maybe 100 miles from Elgin, and took you up there probably in the motorhome. And then we
Mhm.
went to those shows, yeah, and that they run on water skis, and they go flying through the air on the water skis. And we were in the back, yeah.
Yep, and then they had a laser show afterwards. So after they did the water skiing, I remember we saw the laser light show, and it was above our heads and reflecting off of everything. It was probably one of the coolest things I had ever seen.
Oh, yes. And then, yeah, I was about 50, about 60 years old here. And Marilyn was 3 years younger. So we were pretty young yet as retirees. There you go. Now, there you got you're more than 10 there, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, I've got my little Snoopy shirt.
But Ryan and you used to fight, the two of you.
Oh,
bicker
yeah.
Back and forth. And
Yeah, let's be honest. I tortured him. I tortured that poor kid.
yeah.
Here
So
he
then-
is starting to get almost as big as me right here.
Yeah. He grew faster than you did then.
Yes, and I feel that
Wow.
I had a bad attitude on almost every photograph except for when I was standing next to Grandma. So I look at all these photographs and I see this look on my face. It's like, "Meh." And
Yeah.
unless I was sitting next to Grandma.
And
Right.
then when you came to Colorado, oh, now there's the four of you with Marie. This, we can tell by Ryan's, what, 3 years old, so it must be about 1980.
Yep.
And
I
that's
don't
there, Dumbarton Oaks, I think.
Mm-hmm. Tony's there. Smoking. He
Yes.
quit smoking, which is like, I can't believe that he quit smoking.
Yeah.
But he has quit smoking. I have not. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard. Yeah,
Yes.
I quit twice, and it was very painful process. So what do we have here now?
This is another thing. I pulled out some photo albums and I took some photographs. So we have July 1985, trip to Canada's Maritime Providences, Ontario and Quebec. And then March 1986, Disney World with Chrissy and Richardson's.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
May 1986, it was Maryland's graduation. Fall 1986, purchased the motorhome. June 1987, retirement. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Fall 1987, trip to Western USA. Winter
Mhm.
1988, Bradenton, Florida. And then
Yes.
fall 1988, New England, Washington, D.C., Blue Ridge Parkway, and Florida again. So
Oh, this
1988
is
is,
nice. Yeah.
it sounds like 19, well, this is, you wrote this. So fall 1988, we went to Washington, D.C., and I went with you.
Uh-huh.
So tell me about that trip, because I was pretty young and I don't remember a whole lot of it.
Yeah, well, we did visit with Senator Douglas, who was from Illinois, senator from Illinois, and he put on a tea party for all of his constituents that came to visit, and we got to meet Paul Douglas, and you were there with us on that. He was very
Really, I don't
important.
remember that at all. I don't remember that at all. I don't
Uh-huh.
remember a tea party.
One of my heroes, Paul H. Douglas. Yeah, there was a Paul Douglas in the movies, so he was always Paul H. Douglas, the politician. And great man to me. So yeah, that's one of the things we did. And then we went around and saw all the buildings and so on in Washington. And I think you got to go into Congress and see
Yeah.
that too.
Wow.
I've been to Washington probably a dozen times with different groups and different reasons. So it's hard for me to separate what I saw on which trip. And you were
Well,
pretty
I
young.
went on that one trip and then I got to go again when I went to go visit Dad out there a few years ago. And I got to go walk around Washington, D.C. by myself. There was nobody else there with me. My uncle Mike lent me his car so I could drive into Washington, D.C. while I was there visiting New Windsor. And I went and saw I just walked everywhere. I just walked and walked and walked. And I saw the Washington Monument, and I went to the Lincoln Memorial, and I went to the White House, and I went to the Department of Justice, and I went to the FBI Center and the financial center, all over, and just it was really awesome. It was weird that I got like a parking space right kind of in the middle of everything that I didn't have to pay for, and I wouldn't get towed, and I got to go in. It happened to be on a day that was free to go to the Smithsonian Museum, one of them, and I got to go inside there and visit that, and I just spent a whole day walking around Washington, D.C., seeing the most awesome things. And I knew I had been there before, but I was so young. I must have been very young when we went last time. I think it was when my dad got married. to his second wife. And I think that is when you brought me out there, and it might have been in the RV.
Yeah.
And that's what I had remembered, but it was very little that I remembered. And I was so glad to be able to go back there again and just kind of relive that.
Well, I think we went down to Mount Juliet, Tennessee in the motorhome with you and Ryan. And we visited the Treadwells, and we went down there both when Kelly was born and when Zach was born. So I don't know which trip that was that you and Ryan both went, but you got fighting with each other. Well, and the little house they had on Mount Juliet was too small for all of us. So when Dan arrived, he was going through a divorce, and he came out, and we decided that Ryan and Dan and I would get in the motorhome and go on a trip to Shiloh Battlefield. That left you with the women and the babies, and so that worked out a lot better for that time. But that was a fun trip because we stopped off at places and we had the motorhome, and you and Ryan could sleep in it. That was the last motorhome we had, traveling trailer or anything like that. So that was, well, they were born in 1987. Kelly was born in 1987. Yeah. And you were.
Yes, I remember. So I spent a summer in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So I came down there, I think originally I was the one that I don't remember how I got there, but I stayed with Ginger and Kit and Kelly, the newborn. And I remember you guys being there because there was the whole diaper incident with the plastic bag, and I was trying to wrap her up because I couldn't find diapers and I wasn't sure how to do that. So I do remember that trip. And then I had stayed there the summer. And then I do remember Mom coming with Ryan. So maybe you guys flew out there. Mom and I got perms in our hair. And we got super curly perms. And then I cut my hair and I was gonna look like Annie, I thought. And that kind of worked out pretty well. I did look like Annie. But Ryan was there and Mom was there. I don't remember Dan being there. But you guys must have like taken the boys and gone on your way. And then Mom and I made our way home a different way.
Yeah, I don't remember all of it, but we had a lot of fun all being together. And the Shiloh Battlefield is not is close to where they lived in Mount Juliet, is near Nashville, Tennessee. And that's where Kelly was born. And she's just 10 years younger than you are, I think. Yeah, that was neat.
Well, we didn't introduce ourselves before we did this this meeting. I am Chrissy, Christina Brazel. Yeah, the oldest grandchild, super kid, they call me. So
yep. Right. The super, not a kid anymore, but you're still super, right?
Thank you.
Right. She can write, she can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I can swim, I can read. Yeah.
And now you're a partner in a business in Anchorage with Jeff.
I am.
Oh, great. That's a great introduction. Let's end it there, and then we'll see how this works. I don't know how to send this out the way Kevin does, but
I will take care of that portion of it.
Yeah,
so let me
we'll
stop the
do
recording.
it ourselves.
All right.
Great.